Deborah looking at the denial of the zoning was thinking that perhaps they wanted to pass this. And so the process that we kind of alluded to at the last meeting, the process would be that one of the persons who voted no, thereby resulting in the denial of the zoning application, could make a motion to bring it back to the table to reconsider it. We have already closed the public hearing. So it would not be appropriate to take public comment at this time. But if that motion was made by one of the two persons who voted no, and the vote was to bring it back to the table for consideration, then the council could consider whether or not to take another vote, and this would be the council's time to deliberate as well. The council continue deliberating on this matter, and it still would take a super majority, so 4 votes, in order to pass this upon consideration.
I guess the only thing I would add, and I don't disagree with the we have excellent attorneys, so I trust that that's a legal option. To me, it's highly irregular to have a public hearing, have a public vote, announce the result of the public vote, and then the next week reopen it. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that this is a horrible project. I don't think it's a perfect project, but I believe that the process that it needs to go is that it should go back to P&Z. We should ultimately, I think there's some action we can take whenever we discuss item number 9 that would give them the opportunity to reapply to P&Z, and then that gives P&Z the opportunity to hear it and give us an updated recommendation on the changes that happened in the project between it initially coming to P&Z and then coming to us. But I do not personally believe that we should change something that's done right now. And that, again, that's my belief. What's that, Betsy?
I was just going to say, Mayor, that was initially my thought too, but I went and talked to my partner Alan, who is, I don't know if you're aware, but basically Mr. Zoning in Texas. And he said that in his opinion, the notice was published before the public hearing. The public hearing was held, and the council deliberated, but that does not prevent the council from bringing it back to the table if one or more of the council members has reconsidered his position and thinks it should go forward. What Alan did say is the main issue in his mind would be that the public hearing is closed, and so the public opportunity to participate was held and has been closed. So that's
so
yeah. According to Alan.
Okay, so that's what I would ask. I mean, I hear that and understand what you're saying, but on everything that we vote on, those even without public hearings, it's our custom, if there's someone in the audience who wants to say something, we allow them to say something. So what I don't understand, and there you may have a great reason because you're an expert in it and I'm not, but how does that mesh with our normal practice that we were talking about bringing the ball fields to CYA, and it was for the council, we allowed the public to comment on that. How do you relate those?
And Councilmember, and I considered that as well, and I think if a court was looking at whether or not there was proper notice of public hearing, they would take into account River Oaks Commons policy to allow public comment on almost any agenda item. So while Alan Taylor's advice is no more public comments and public hearings closed, River Oaks does have a unique policy in allowing the public to speak. So that said, I'm not going to lay down the law and prohibiting speaking. That's going to be up to the mayor.
My question is, this was brought forth to us for what zoning rejected, and that's what we voted on, is what zoning rejected. Now, they put up another offer, but that should, to me, should still have to go back before zoning.
Did you hear him, Betsy? Did you hear Councilman Claridge, Betsy?
I think it's just, I didn't know if you wanted to comment. I don't think I think either path would be safe, would be lawful and acceptable.
Okay, so hearing that,
How do we send it back to zoning?
what's that?
How do we send it back to zoning?
I'm sorry to interject, but Betsy might be able to explain too, that there's another option on your agenda, that would be number 9, and that if you all want to hear that option too, and then you can consider whatever motion somebody might make for either option.
That's a fair point. So with that, I'm going to also open number 9, which is to consider designating the August 3rd, 2021 denial as without prejudice in zoning case number PZ 2021-0008RZ to rezone approximately 3.9772 acres of land in St. Louis subdivision described as being lots 23B, 24B, and 25B, otherwise known as 5910 Black Oak Lane in River Oak, Tarrant County, Texas, from a CF Community Facility District to a PDR4 district, Plan Development District pursuant to Section 11C Development Regulations and Section 18 Plan Development District of the River Oak zoning ordinance number 1286-2020 as amended in order to develop the property for single-family homes, thereby allowing the applicant to reapply within a 1-year period. That, and certainly the attorneys can clarify, but that's a lot of work that basically says if we do that, then they're just allowed to go back to P&Z and take their updated plan to the P&Z. Correct. Yes. Betsy, if you could speak a little on item number 9 and what that means.
Certainly. So this is the other path of taking it back to the P&Z, bringing it back to council. So what your ordinance provides is that a zoning application that's denied cannot come back before P&Z or the council until a 1-year period has expired, unless the council takes action, and this would be by a simple majority vote, not a super majority vote, unless the council takes action to designate this as without prejudice. In court, if a court decision is made with prejudice, that means that the plaintiff cannot come back with that same suit. But if it's without prejudice, that means that a plaintiff, or in this case an applicant, can come back. And so if you voted to make the denial without prejudice, that would allow the applicant to come back with the same or similar PC application with a 1-year period.
But the idea is that they bring back something different, not that they bring back the same thing.
Well, I think, and I'll just speak for myself, the distinction to me was what they brought P&Z was 24 lots, I believe, and what they brought here was 20 lots, and even though they felt that that addressed P&Z's concerns, we still didn't have the input from P&Z as to whether that actually addressed their concerns. So I mean, I don't know if they're going to want to come back. I don't know. I can't speak for them because the only time I've met them was the night they were here last week. But so I don't know if they would come back with the same plan they brought to us last week. But at the very least, they would be bringing that to P&Z and then letting P&Z get input. And certainly, if they wanted to take council's input from last week into consideration and do something different, I think that's fair too.
Yeah, so I mean, just to boil it down, the question is, the first question to ask is, does either one of the ones that voted no want to reconsider it or not?
I would like to make a motion.
Okay, so knowing not, but you don't make it just yet. So we have one that would like to reconsider it, and then the question is, it would require a 4 vote, we know. So of the other 3,